I hope it's working. Let's see. It should be. It should be working right now. Let's see. Let's see if everything is set up. Yes, perfect. So we can start. As always, way too early. I'm sorry for that, but most of the time, in the first couple of minutes, nothing really happens. So, again, welcome back. Nice to see you. Hope you all have a great and wonderful weekend. I definitely had. I had so many crazy ideas again. My physical therapist is also ADHD and autistic, and he's a bad influence. As you may know, I am a tour guide, and I was in the area in my hometown where we have the Hall of Fame, you can name it if you want to, like that. It's for all of the people that came from my hometown that had won the Nobel Prize. I mean, Max Planck is the only name that rang a bell. The rest is just, I could not tell you a single name of those. Max Planck, it was like, yeah, I've heard from him because we have an institute that is called Max Planck Institute, and never realized what it is. Then I had someone in my group that was like, hey, he won the Nobel Prize in physics, and it's splitting of atoms and stuff like that in the same area as Oppenheimer lived. And yeah, this is where we started researching. And yeah, Max Planck definitely had known Oppenheimer. They met on Helgoland once, and they studied both in Göttingen before Oppenheimer went to the States. And then the question that came to my mind was, how much of my hometown was into the atomic bomb, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So how much research and how much influence did Max Planck had on Oppenheimer? And you need to know, here in my hometown, they are doing everything to bury the complete World War II history. So no one will answer me the questions or is willing to help me research about Oppenheimer and Max Planck. And so my physical therapist and I, we are doing now every weekend some research and sharing the information we found out every Monday on our appointment. Yeah, at least we have something to talk to each and every Monday, but I think it's quite funny and interesting. And then I thought about my last trip as a visitor to Munich. I went to Dachau. It was great to see the death campsite, never was there. Had one of the best guides who influenced my work really, really much because he did everything right as a guide. And a few days before, I was going to Neuschwanstein. I was there before. It's beautiful. It's the castle that inspired the Disney castle. It's in the middle of the mountains, in the middle of nowhere. And as he was talking about the story about Ludwig II, I was just like, it never made so much sense in my life to think about how autistic Ludwig II was. And when you see all the trademarks he had, he was severe autistic. But back in the days, no one talked about it. No one talked about stuff like that diagnosis-wise. And then he went even deeper into his connection with Sissi, with the Emperor of Austria back in the days. And even her trademarks. I wouldn't say Sissi Elisabeth was that kind of autistic, but I would say she was definitely neurodiverse. And then I was like, okay, everyone is telling us at the moment that we overdiagnose ADHD and autism. But I think when we are looking back at history and stuff like that, I think it's the other way round. We underdiagnosed it back in the days. I mean, most of the great fictional characters have all of those trademarks. For an example, just look at Sherlock Holmes. He is completely autistic. He has all the trademarks of an autistic person, but he's still a hero. And most of the heroes you have in at least old classic books and stuff like that, or even modern books. Look at the works of Dan Brown. Look at Robert Langdon. I mean, more autistic than Robert Langdon is, I think, pretty hard to find. And yeah, but it's never discussed in society that those characters and those historic figures were autistic or ADHD or neurodiverse. I mean, again, look just down history. Look at Napoleon, for an example. Again, someone who was severe autistic. And saying nowadays that we are overdiagnosing this kind of stuff, I mean, I think it's making things way too easy. Maybe I would agree that severe cases are more than back in the days, but again, back in the days, those cases were not able to function in society and were not part of society. They were always kept behind closed doors. So even that part, I would not completely agree. I think this is a really fascinating topic to think how autism or autistic people changed the world. I mean, even someone like Albert Einstein, definitely, or even Oppenheimer. I mean, the movie is brilliant, and look at him. I mean, this guy is so severe autistic, and again, never ever someone, when you're talking about Oppenheimer or Ludwig the second here from Bavaria, never ever would someone connect the dots and say it as the first trademark. But again, I think those characters clearly were autistic. And I think heroes like Sherlock Holmes should become the heroes for every autistic boy out there, because those stories, or Robert Langdon is another great example. As I said, I had the great opportunity to meet Dan Brown. Normally he's going to the book convention, so I met him twice. I met him, I think it was The Lost Symbol. He was in Frankfurt. I was driving, I think, 800 kilometers just to get my book signed. That much of a Dan Brown fan I am. And then the last book, he had only one public reading here in Germany. And it was in Hamburg, so a city that is covered by my local broadcasting company. And I was begging my chief editor on my knees that I will be the journalist that is going there and make an interview with Dan Brown. It was quite easy because most of my co-workers are not able to communicate in English, and I think Dan Brown is not able to communicate that well in German. And so I was like, it would really, 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 really mean a lot to me if I can meet Dan Brown and ask him questions. I promise I try not to be a fangirl, I try to be respectful, but I will at least have the last book signed by him and ask him just a few questions. Because I think Dan Brown and all the history behind it is really, really interesting. And again, I think even Dan Brown, as I met him, I would say this guy has at least autistic trademarks to him. I think this is not a crime to say. And I think when you think about his books, he is not an expert in those things. He becomes an expert for every book, and the amount of research his books are taken is incredible. And he is still involving the character of Robert Langdon with every book. And this is something I find really fascinating when you're looking back at Angel and Demons, and now The Secret of Secret was the last one. It's great how all of the connection is handled by Robert Langdon. And hi, Michael. I hope you have a great day. I'm just talking about how many autistic persons are here in our society and did something great for humanity. I mean, okay, Dan Brown maybe didn't change the world with his books. For me, certainly he did, but again, I am talking about people like Oppenheimer or Einstein or like Ludwig II here of Bavaria. We have so many people, so many famous people with autistic trademarks. Never ever are we talking about the neurodiverse things that is going into them, and only saying, yeah, ADHS and autism is these kind of days so overdiagnosed. And I think I talked about it. Just behind me is living the chief doctor, the main doctor of our university hospital, of the emergency room. And he was looking straight in my face as we were discussing stuff like that, and was telling me that he didn't have a single co-worker that he is sure that has not at least a neurodiverse diagnostic. Because if you want to become good in medicine and study medicine, you need some of those autistic trademarks, because otherwise, especially hyperfocus will help you a lot. Especially when you're going into law and when you want to go into medicine. And this is thing that is not discussed enough, in my opinion, in society, because I think we are always showcasing the bad side effects. But again, my friend who is severe autistic and ADHS, I didn't know it until she completely crashed out, until she wasn't able to mask anymore in society. That was the moment where I realized it, because she was so good in masking it that I didn't thought that she was autistic at all. And yeah, again, this is what happens when those people have the need to mask, because otherwise society is thinking that they don't belong in society. And I think this is really sad, because she is maybe not that good in social interactions, and she's definitely not good in going to crowded spaces. For an example, she is in her spare time a sailor, instructor, trainer, if it makes sense. She trains the people that becoming sailing instructors. And she is absolute brilliant. She is absolute brilliant teaching people how to sail that are scared of sailing, had a traumatic experience on the water, or stuff like that. Everyone in the whole sailing industry is sending those kind of people to her, because she understands their needs, she is calm under pressure, and she is a great sailing teacher. But on the water, everything is fine, never had an issue, but walk with her through the sailing festival that is going on land. After 10 meters, she's completely done. You need to make sure that she has her headphones on, and in the best case, left, right, in front and back of her are people that she knows. So yeah, this is her severe level of autism that is coming through as soon as she's surrounded by too many people. And the sad part about her is that she wanted to become a teacher in history and religion. She did her first, I don't know how it is in other countries. Here in Germany, you need to make 2 state exams to become a teacher. And she passed her first one completely fine. And then she was getting into a school for her practice test. It was, or is, 1 semester. And after 3 weeks, the school system has completely crushed her. This is when she had her burnout, and everything was just completely falling in pieces for her. And it was not because she wasn't a great teacher. The kids loved her. She is still an amazing teacher, but the system and the social part to work with the other teachers, because she is not picking up social cues really well, this was ending up in bullying and stuff like that, and it's a shame. And she is fighting for her bare life. She really wants to become a teacher. She's not giving up. And maybe it's because I have a complete other approach of life, because I would be the person that is like, okay, I have the first state exam. I love working with inclusion. I love working with sailing teachers, and why not making this for a living? Find your own unique way and make money with it and just be happy. But she is not ready for it, and I don't know if she ever will be. And she is pressuring herself so badly because she really wants to have this second state exam. And even if she's passing it, in our system here in Germany, on a public school at least, I think she has no chance of becoming a teacher in the long term. And this is sad. And I always was like, go to a private school, go to a school with people with special needs. Or, I mean, it's not the best advice I can give someone, or just go to the Rudolf Steiner teaching. This is what I did. Okay, my accident happened during that. It was quite funny. I majored in musical, and I was like, I want to have something serious now to fall back on if my musical career is not working out. So I decided to become a teacher for music and sports. I was suffering for 5 months through all of the works of Rudolf Steiner. I was a Waldorf school kid on my own. Perfect school form for me, everything perfectly fine. But if you need to study his works, I wouldn't say they are necessarily crazy. I think a lot of the teaching from Rudolf Steiner is valid, but some of his works are just too philosophical. I can't put it in works. It's just not working for me, some of his kind stuff. And started with my music part of practical teaching. It went well because I think music is part of my DNA. It was really, really funny. I changed to the Waldorf school at the 8th grade, because I think without changing to a Waldorf school, I don't know how good of a school education I would have. Yes, I would definitely have some kind of education to fall back onto, but I wouldn't definitely not be able to have the highest form which the Rudolf Steiner, the Waldorf school, provided me with. And I am really grateful. And I think especially if you have children with special needs that are still functioning good in society, and people like me who are artists through and through, this is the perfect school to send them to. I am definitely thinking the Rudolf Steiner School is a school that is really overlooked, but for artistic people, it's perfect. So I love music. I was in choir since I was 7 years old. So music and reading notes and making music was never a problem. So teaching it would not have been a problem either. Sport was okay. I always loved doing sports. I was good in handball. I was good in those kind of sports where it can get nasty. Let's say it's how it is. I made trained in martial arts and stuff like that when I was young. Never touched ballet or dancing. Never wanted to. I was never that kind of girl. And then again, I had the crazy idea that I want to major in musical. So I needed to start taking ballet lessons and dancing lessons. I will never forget what my teacher taught me. You are amazing in acting. Everyone here at this musical school is telling you you should go to an acting school because this is definitely your passion and something you are really good at. You have the stage presence and you have just something we can't teach other people. When you are on the stage, you are filling a room. You are brilliant as an actress. You are good as a singer, but you really sucks at dancing. And I can teach a monkey how to dance. So I'm pretty sure that I am able to teach you how to dance. And I was like, I don't like in which direction this conversation is heading, but go on, go on. And I was never good at dancing during all 3 years of my musical education. I was always in the lowest tier of the dancing classes. I know that I could undergraduate in one of the 3 areas, and I was from day one, I will undergrad in dancing. I need to be good in acting. This is my main focus, and singing is something that is not hard for me because of all of the musical backgrounds. I play piano, guitar, and stuff like that. It's not hard for me to pick stuff like that up. I'm really looking into if I maybe have more time and one day to learn to play the orgel, because I think it's such a unique instrument, and our organist in our church always is telling me, hey, I can teach you and you would be great, and not many people want to learn this position anymore. And my choir teacher is also pushing me in the direction, hey, don't you want to become someone who's taking over this choir, because she's turning 70, and it would only be, I think, a 4 or 5 week course to get the certification to be able to lead a choir. I mean, the easiest way is going with the church choir, because those certifications are paid by the church here in Germany. So those would be the easiest to become, but then I definitely would have the problem that I need to learn how to play the orgel. And I'm like, I don't know if I can pick up a skill like that in a couple of weeks. This is something I don't know. And again, I am a good singer, I would say, because I have such a high range. I can sing with the mans, I can sing with the in tenor. I am in one choir in tenor because they only have 2 mans left. Most of the time I just sing 1 octave above them, so I don't need to go that deep. And in the next choir, I am singing in the high sopran. So I have such a huge range with my voice. It is naturally, I never needed to train for it. Every singing teacher I had, they were like, this is completely insane. Your talking voice is telling me that you should be in alt. This should be your singing voice. But you are able to hit the highest notes and go deep down to the ends. It's crazy. And yeah, I think this is why I love singing so much, because this is finally something I am really good at. But until this day, I just pressure myself every time that I am not good enough. When I want to see the notes and be able to sing all those notes without the smallest mistake. And my choir teacher is always telling me, you don't have to. This is why we practice. This is why we practice. You are allowed to make mistakes. But I had in my musical education, at my musical school, someone who was throwing stuff at us as soon as we hit a wrong note. And I think this stuck with me. And even if you are going into a professional direction, you are allowed to make mistakes during practice. But this teacher, she was not having it. If you are hitting a wrong note, you have a bad day. You will have a definitely bad day. And I think this pressure is still with me, even if I'm going to something like karaoke singing, for an example. Most of the time I would say, no, I don't want to sing, I don't want to be on stage, because I'm still pressuring myself so bad that if I make a mistake, I mean, no one in the crowd will know that I have a major background in musical. So no one knows that I can sing at all. So no one would care. And I think normal people won't even hear a single mistake, even if I would do so. But it's still so deeply rooted inside me that I am not allowed to make a single mistake as soon as I am on the stage and want to sing. And I think this is why I think I would not be the greatest teacher for a choir, because I don't know where the balance is, because at the end of the day, when you are going on stage, when you are going with your choir somewhere and have a concert, you don't want to have too many voices. I was so ashamed on Christmas Eve. We were singing with our choir in the church, and I don't know what went wrong during this concert, but we weren't able to hear each other. And someone was sitting right in front of me. And I felt so sorry for him, because I could hear that we weren't singing all with the same tone on the same note. It was, I told our priest afterwards, it sounded like we were stepping on the tail of a cat all the time. And he was like, hey, chill out. Everyone had a great time. It's Christmas. They don't even notice they were drunk anyway. It was midnight. So I was like, okay, good for you if you can relax. But I had the feeling that I had hit a few wrong notes because I wasn't able to hear anyone around me. And those mistakes shouldn't happen to someone who made like a musical. I should be able to see the notes and sing them without a mistake. And my choir teacher came to me and she was like, we are doing this for fun here. Please relieve some of this pressure from you. You will destroy yourself. This is a hobby. This is something you should come to and have fun. You shouldn't think that I will throw something at you when you are hitting the wrong notes. And I'm like, yeah, but this is what I got taught to during my musical education, because it is, I think I wouldn't say it's the best school in Germany for musical, but it's one of the high-ranked one. We had 80 students that can join each year, and I think 3,000 people applied to study on this school. So if you know the movie Fame, the audition process to become part of the school was quite similar. It's rough and hard, and yeah, I think this is something, if I want to do something, I want to do something, and I wanted to go on this school. I know maybe a smaller school, or maybe a school that had more focus with acting would be such easier way for me to major in. But yeah, I had the great idea to set my highest goals, and yeah, afterwards again I wanted to become, just to secure my education, become a sports and music teacher. And the music stuff, the teacher stuff went okay, not perfect, but okay. And in my first practical lesson for sports, I had the incident with my foot, and I don't know what it was, but I think the universe was telling me this is definitely not the direction you should head into, because I felt the whole year during the study process that I don't like it, that I don't belong to. But I again was pushing myself through, because I was like, I want to have the certification at the end, and I want to have the opportunity to work as a teacher. But I think this accident just told me this is not the way of your life. And again, even the circumstances of this accident were so strange when you look back to it, because again, when you are majoring in musical, I think you are pain resistant. Let's say it how it is. I didn't know a day without pain, because you will get sore, you will have something going on every time. Because when you're training to become a musical actress, you are dancing at least 3 hours each day. So you are putting a lot of pressure on your body. So I never know how a body without pain is feeling since I was 17, I think. And this was just the stupidest accident you can imagine. I was capable of doing a somersault without a trampoline. I was that good trained at that point of time. And we were training with people that weren't even able to jump on a trampoline in the first place. And everyone should do the exact same, because we wanted to teach how we will approach that kind of situation when we are teachers in a school environment. So the trampoline, again, just looking back at this accident, there were so many signs that were screaming, don't do it. We built the trampoline and it was shaking. It was not stable at all. It was, I think, at that point 30 years old. It was an old trampoline where you still had metal rail bars around the trampoline. But I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's get over it. I will do a somersault and I'm done for today. And I am not that small. If I want to make a good somersault, I need a lot of pressure to put on the trampoline to jump high. And left and right, there were people that should help me fulfill the somersault if I'm not able, as a safety measurement. So I was jumping a few times to get the right height, and during my last jump, again, a lot of pressure, I slipped with my left foot under the stupid metal bar and still fulfilled the somersault. I felt at that second immediately that my foot was gone. And there is my personality. I was not crying. I was just sitting there in shock. I tried to get up. It was not possible. It was not possible to put any pressure, but I was not screaming. I was not crying. I was just like, I can't move. Can please someone help me? So my PE teacher didn't take it serious because I was not screaming and crying. And the other people that were around me during that somersault, they didn't realize what had happened. So no one was realizing how serious this injury was. So he just let me sit at the sideline, and he was like, oh, yeah, I will take care later with it. And my foot started swelling like this. And if you know something about medical injuries, if your foot is swelling like that, then it's a sign that it is definitely broken. And I was like, can you please call an ambulance? And he was like, no, I'm not calling an ambulance because it's hard for them to get here. I will bring you to the hospital when our lesson is finished in 2 hours. So I sat there with a dislocated and splintered, completely broken into pieces left foot, left alone, without anyone who was taking care of it, no one who was giving me an ice pack or stuff like that, just because I am not the girl that is screaming and crying. And I think this taught me so much about taking care of other people, because being in that situation was something I was telling myself, I don't want a single person around me or a single person in the world to go through something similar like that. Sitting there in the highest pain level even possible, I was clearly in shock. I was shaking. I was definitely giving all of the signs of a shock. And yeah, no one was taking care for me. And even in the hospital, it was way too swollen, so they were like, oh, we can't make a diagnosis, come back a few days, we will maybe make a CAT scan. And 6 weeks later, they were like, yeah, your foot is healed again, you are fine. So the cast was gone. I tried to step on the foot and I was like, it's not better. It's the same. It's completely done. So they were like, yeah, you are just making this your pain up in your mind. Your foot is good to go. Yeah, half a year later, I found out. Half a year later, the foot was still dislocated and broken into pieces. And the next hospital was like, okay, there is nothing much left we can do because it's so severe damaged. They tried to fuse it because there was just nothing left they could do with this foot at this stage. They tried to fuse it. Half of the fusion was just broken off again. After 12 weeks, they got rid of the screws. I was moving my foot again, and half of the fusion was completely shattered again. So afterwards, they put metal plates in there and just put so many screws in there, and they were like, as long as they are not making anything bad for you, they will stay. We are not touching this foot again, ever. Only maybe if we are thinking about just taking it off. This is the next step. And yeah, everything because the first hospital was like, yeah, there was nothing, pain is in your mind. And because I am not good in communicating pain, because I was just like, yeah, whatever. Never had a single bone broken before in my life, so I thought this kind of pain is normal. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't, but again, looking back of it, I mean, at least it was a working accident, so I have a special kind of pension here in Germany. And I have the best insurance form here in Germany because it was an work accident, so I get everything I need to participate still in life. So this is, I think, the good part of this injury, but I think this injury and the whole process just taught me kindness, I guess. Because again, I don't want a single person to feel or go through what I did for, I think, 3 years until we definitely decided there was just nothing left to do. And bringing it back to universal and the AAP and accessibility, I think it took me a time. It took me such a long time to realize that the AAP is exactly for people like me. Because before that, I always was like, yeah, they have single wider line, whatever, I will make it work. I have painkillers. I can still do it. Until someone, the first aid responder at Epic, sent me down and he was like, you have one of the worst injuries a human being can have. It's the Lisfranc. If this kind of injury is happening to you, there was almost nothing left a doctor can do because it's such a complicated region in the foot. And why are you thinking that you are not deserving the AAP, or why do you think you wouldn't benefit from it? You have pain just standing here, you have pain moving around. This is not normal. A normal human being, visitor, everyone around you at the moment, including me in this theme park, is not in pain when they are moving, is not in pain when they are waiting in line. So why don't you accept the AAP as a tool that is removing your barrier, so you are again able to wait the period of time and enjoy. Let's enjoy the roller coaster again. I mean, I still enjoyed the roller coaster even in pain, but it was just tough for me. Even in the single rider line, sometimes single rider line can also take an hour or so. After that, my foot was just in such a severe pain. And just to give you an example how much and how stupid I was pushing myself, Disneyland Paris 3 years ago, Halloween, I was there with a large friend group, and I was like, I am telling no one how bad I am feeling. Because again, we went the day before Halloween, spent the whole day in the park, had a blast. In the morning, we explored Paris because a friend of mine never been to Paris, and I was like, hey, I am a nerd, I know history, I know my Paris, I know everything, I can give you details to the Louvre, to Napoleon, to the Musketeers, to everything historic-wise that happens in Paris. And they were like, cool. So we walked through Paris If you ever been to Paris, we walked from the Eiffel Tower to the Arc of Triomphe, to the Louvre, to Notre Dame, everywhere. And in the evening, we went to the Halloween party. I was standing in line at Phantom Manor because they have a special thing going on in Halloween at Phantom Manor. And I was only able to move a few meters, and then I needed to sit down because I was not able to stand on that foot. I was staying there like a flamingo, hopping on one leg, just to be able to stand in that line and enjoy the attraction. And this was happening the entire night, the entire Halloween night. This was how I was moving forward, like a penguin or a flamingo hopping on one leg. But that was not the worst night. I was still able to go back to the hotel. So the next day we had another day fully spent in Disneyland Paris. And that was the day where my body just completely crushed. Most of the day I was just sitting somewhere because I was physically not able to move anymore. And even at that point, I wasn't communicating it to anyone in my group. They thought the whole time I am fine. And I wanted to cry the whole time because I was in pain. I was exhausted because we hadn't slept the whole time, maybe 3 hours a night. And my body was this close just in giving up. And I remember we had a hotel a little bit far away and we needed, after the fireworks, to go there. So many people rushing to the buses. The bus needed 1 hour until it arrived, 1 hour. And I was physically not able anymore to go back from the bus stop to our hotel. It was 300 meters. I was crawling. And my friends were so shocked they didn't know what was going on. They didn't realize how severe my pain level was. And I was like, I just can't walk. And our room was on the first floor without an elevator. And I crawled like a snake the stairs up. And I was like, and they were like, we spent 5 days together in Disneyland Paris. At one point, do you think you should communicate that you are in pain? And I think, no, it's way too late. And the next day I needed to go back to the airport with my suitcase. At least my friends took care of my suitcase and they were like, just make sure you get somehow to the subway station and then to the airport. We will take care of the rest. And yeah, I needed special assistance, and my friends saw it. They were like, we will make sure you get special assistance at the airport because you are not able to walk 3 meters anymore. And I know Disneyland Paris has a similar system like the AAP or DAS in place. And I think maybe it's arrogance, maybe I was just not realizing how bad my situation was, but it never even came into my mind for applying it. I think a part of it was we were 10 people, and I know a friend of mine was also in pain because of his back. Maybe I should have applied for the AAP system at Disneyland Paris and just told them, hey, those are the people I spend most of my time with, please connect them to my account. This would definitely be a better idea than crawling back to the hotel or to the bus after the fireworks. It's just stupid. Even at that point, I haven't learned my lesson. Yeah, normal people would say, hey, the next time this girl definitely had applied for the AAP. No, I applied for the DAS at Disney, then had the incident with Tower of Terror with a cast member yelling at me because the system was breaking down. So at Universal at that trip, I was fine with single riders, but I didn't push me too hard. And then in January, the last trip, again, it was no one's fault, but things just added up. I am so happy and great that I met Jake. He will join me in November as well again. But I barely know him. I told him I have the disability because he wanted to see the women's Surfside, never been on property, and I was like, yeah, okay. So I was like, hey, this is an accessible room in case you're wondering, so it's bigger and blah, blah. And then we started talking about my disability because he had a friend, an ex-boyfriend that was in wheelchair because he had only one leg left. So we started to talk about it, and I realized that he is completely okay with all inclusion stuff is going on and would never ever put pressure on me. But I didn't realize it. So the first day we spent, it was my first day during that vacation, roped up to firework. I was completely exhausted, but I was like, hey, Jake is only here the next day, so let's push through it. The next day, I booked the helicopter ride. And you need to pay for 2 people because you can only do it when you pay for 2 people. And I was inviting Jake because I was like, it's paid anyway. So I will pay the exact same price if you come with me or not. And he gladly accepted coming with me and do the helicopter ride. He really enjoyed it. We went to the outlets afterwards and then back into the parks. And I started to feel the exhaustion, especially the later the day got. And Jake was so excited. It was his last day of the trip, so he wanted to do everything, which I can completely relate and understand. But I was never communicating, hey, I am in pain. Hey, I can't move anymore. I was just going with the flow and pushing and pushing and pushing all the time. Without even thinking about something like the AAP, I was just pushing me through all the time. And I talked about it a lot in my live streams because looking back at it, it's such a funny situation. At the moment, it was not so funny for me. I've never been on Simpsons, and he was like, hey, you need to go. Simpsons is so cool. I don't give a shit about Simpsons, to be honest. I don't like the friendship and don't enjoy the series. But I saw this was important for him, and I was like, okay, never been there, so let's go on Simpsons. I tend to get motion sick sometimes. It's crazy, never on sailing. I can be out of water, 10-meter waves, no problem at all. You can put me in the Hogwarts, journey into Hogwarts thing, and I will be out of service the rest of the day. So I haven't realized that Simpsons was a full-blown motion simulator ride. And I already felt sick and tired and in pain. So boarding the ride, I was just like, this is not going ending well. So the ride started. I don't know how long the Simpsons ride actually is. But for me, it felt like it was a 10-minute ride. The only thing that was important for me during that ride was not throwing up. This was the only mission I had during that Simpson ride. Not throwing up and make a mess for the cast member 1 hour before the shift is ending. So I closed my eyes, started breathing, and Jake next to me had the best time of his life. He was screaming, yelling, and you could clearly hear him enjoying. And I was just hanging on there for bare survival. Nothing more. And completely crazy. I could definitely just have communicated with him, hey, I don't feel well anymore, I have this disability. And this situation would never occur. And afterwards, even after I felt like sick like a dog, I wasn't talking to him about it. And then we were heading in the direction of the exit, and I was like, yes, just keep it together for 10 more minutes. Then we passed Mummy, and he was like, hey, let's go on Mummy, it's only 10 minutes. And I was like, okay, let's go for one round on Mummy. And after this Mummy ride, I just felt I can't physically do anything anymore. And even then I was not communicating to him. He was like, hey, let's do another round. But then I was like, yeah, you can go, but I am done for today. And he was not mad. He completely accepted it. He was like, yeah, sure, of course. Went back to the hotel room because he put all of his outlet shopping in my room. And even then, I didn't communicate how bad the rest of my day was. And he didn't realize it. He only saw I have an accessible room. He only know that something was going on with my foot, but he never know how severe my pain level was. I think if he know at least one of those factors, he would definitely have intervened much earlier. Because then the next day arrived. And I mean, again, I think it's like the accident. It's the universe were just throwing arrows and signs at me, and I was just ignoring them and not paying attention. So the next day was my first day at Epic, and 3 of the incidents for my incidents reports happened on that day in Epic. And that really pushed me over the edge. Again, I hadn't had the AAP yet, so it was quite early in the morning, and the guy pushed me down the stairs at Joshi's for the yellow Joshi. So I was upset afterwards. It was nothing serious happened, and I was just questioning humanity at that point. And I will never play the yellow Joshi, by the way. This Joshi is going to hell every time. Mario Kart up into the lava pit and off he goes. So this is my relation now to the yellow Joshi in my life. Then I went on to Mario Kart, and later I think the incident at the carousel was in between, where I was so pissed and I was like, is your crowd well behaved? I don't want to get run over again and pushed over. And the cast member was completely shocked after hearing to my stories. And he was like, everyone is behaving like a nice noodle. But let me make sure I will go through the front of the entrance with you, and I will make sure you have a great time on the carousel. We stand there in front, and he was asking me, hey, which animal do you want? And I was like, I am a Chinese rabbit, so the rabbit would be nice. And he was like, yeah, I will make sure you get the rabbit. He opened the door. The girl next to us definitely overheard our conversation, and she was running for this freaking rabbit as if her life depends on it. So she took the rabbit just in front of my nose. The cast member was so shocked, and I was like, well, whatever, I take the areas. But the areas, the problem was with my foot, the rabbit is low to the ground. It's easy for me to go on the rabbit. It's not that easy for the areas because the areas is huge. So I needed a lot of help to get onto this freaking areas. But had a good ride, everything was fine, and then I was like, I want to go on Mario Kart. Yeah, someone stepped onto my foot, the metal plate on it, so badly that I was sent straight to first aid. He took care of everything. He was like, I will bring you to the bus, make sure the bus driver is calling bell service, and they will help you to the room. You have ice, and in case anything has happened, this is the number from Universal. You need to call them in case something is getting worse. We have an incident report, but we need to know if your condition is worsening. And I was like, okay. And after those 3 days, I was sitting in my bed. I had a good relationship with Megan from Surfside, with the manager, because we had a nice conversation. She has the exact same injury as I, a fused foot, another part of her foot, but she understands the pain I am in and the internal struggle, and understands hidden disability because she's having a disability on her own. And I was telling her, I am done. I mean, I have 2 weeks left of paid vacation, but I think I will pack my suitcase and go to the airport and head on the next plane to Germany back, and will never ever touch a Universal Park or theme park in my life again. And you could really see, because of her reaction, that it really broke her heart. So she was like, hey, be honest, what is going on? And I explained to her that I pushed myself way too much. Before that, I was thinking before the trip, the single rider would be fine for my injury, and I completely underestimated everything that was going on, and I was completely exhausted and pushed myself way too hard. And she was like, please stay the night, and tomorrow morning the first thing you do is go to guest services at Islands for early park admission and talk to these cast members. Then go write something, go to Volcano Bay and relax, and then make your decision. But please do these steps. So the next morning, I went to guest services and I completely lost it. I am so sorry for this cast member, but I started crying and I was in so much pain, and I was just like, I don't know how I can handle these theme parks anymore. I am obsessed with theme parks. I love roller coasters, but because of my injury and because of my disability, it's just breaking my heart in the moment to realize that I am not able to participate in theme parks anymore. And she was looking at me, hi Amber, and she was like, this is not like a human being, not a person with a disability should feel like. And I think she is right. And I underestimate everything myself. And from that point on, she set up the AAP, and I was like, this is a game changer. I used the AAP, and for the first time since 2011, I had a great time at the theme parks without crashing out in the evening. It's crazy, and this is why I am pushing the AAP and the message behind it so hard on my channel, because I can guarantee you there are people out there, people that are as stubborn as I am, that are thinking, yeah, I have a disability, but I am not disabled enough to use the system. Or people that are like, what if they don't believe that I have a disability because no one can see it? And I just want to share this message and say, hey, you deserve the AAP too. You deserve to have a great time at Universal. And this is, I think, what healthy people don't understand about the AAP. It's not about us getting any advantage. I don't mind waiting. This is not my problem, the waiting game. The waiting problem is when I need to stand on my foot. And the AAP is exactly removing that, giving me the exact waiting time, but the opportunity to wait somewhere else. And this is the prime example for removing a barrier. And I think this is a part and a topic people don't understand about disability. It's not that we want a VIP treatment, we want any advantages. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me, because I am still doing crazy shit I shouldn't do. I still have a great and amazing life. You don't need to feel sorry for me. I just want to get those barriers removed so I have the same exact chances as everyone else. And this is the same discussion I have every freaking time with special assistants at the airport. Because for normal people, I can somehow understand their mindset. They don't see a disability, therefore there is no disability. And Amber again is here in my chat. It's the same. If her kids are non-verbal, you will not see at the first glimpse that those kids are struggling with something. And just because they are non-verbal, it doesn't mean that they are stupid. This is another thing people need to understand, especially about autism. They are just seeing the way in a different kind of way. And the same for me with my disability. I experience the world just different. I see every small cobblestone and stuff like that. Stuff like that normal people would not understand. I feel every incline I am moving through. And I need to remove stuff like that to be able to participate and have the exact same chances as someone else. And I think at Disney, I think the DAS is still good, but I think Disney is not understanding that it is about removing barriers and not giving any advantages, because Disney will only give you one attraction once with a small little time frame for your return time. So I think it's not the fault of Disney at all. I think it's the fault of people that set up that system, because they don't understand the reason behind the system and they don't understand the actual needs. It's not that we want to ride more roller coasters than everyone else. We want to have the chance to ride as many roller coasters as everyone else. And I think this is something people without disabilities just don't understand, in my opinion, in my experience. They don't understand. They only see a small fraction, and they only see the advantage we will get for this few seconds. And this is a complete misunderstood of the AAP, because normal people will only see us entering the express pass line or boarding maybe from the other side, because if you're on the highest tier, you can avoid crowds completely. They only see this boarding area part of your day, but they don't see the struggle that was going on, the struggle that going out of your bed. Sometimes during that vacations, my foot is in such a bad shape. Without a shoe in my foot, I am not able to move one step. It's that bad most of the time. And the problem is it's starting swelling, but because of misgrowth of bones because of the arthritis, I have pressure points. And because of those pressure points, I am not able to wear compression socks because I wouldn't tolerate them. So my first problem of the day is, after taking a shower, try to fit my foot into my shoes, because again, sometimes my foot is so badly swollen that I'm barely able to put my foot into my shoe. So my struggle is beginning so much more earlier, but people only see the moment when I am entering the express pass line, and then they are thinking, hey, she has such a huge advantage, it's unfair. And this is why I am sharing all this stuff here on my channel, to show and explain to healthy people that it is not that easy, that a normal day for people like me is so much more than the second entering the express pass AAP line. Then I need to go to the bus, and most of the time, for the first half, it's getting better. When I start moving, my foot is realizing, okay, I can't opt out today, we are doing it again. Most of the time, until midday, I am good with walking and good with everything in general, as long as I'm not removing my shoe. When I'm removing my shoe, it's done. I will not be able to put my foot again in my shoe for that day. So this is nothing I should do, but just imagine starting my day with waiting in line for attraction for 4 hours. It would just ruin my day. Then my foot would be in such a bad condition that I would need to go back to the hotel room and will not be able to head back out, because I tried so many techniques and stuff out to get rid of the swelling. I always carry self-activating ice packs with me to make sure, hey, to cool it down in the worst case. It's not working, and something my doctors find so strange about my arthritis and my disability is that most of the swelling is going on in the night when I am laying down. Because normally it should be, I am laying down, it's getting better, and in the morning it should be the best case. It's not for me, because the swelling is going on all the time. And just to give you another example how bad stuff can get, never had it before, I hope I will never have it again. It was on my last flight to Orlando. It was, I think, 11 hours from Munich to MCO direct. And 7 hours in, my foot had the great and amazing idea to start swelling. And not swelling a little bit. It was swelling so bad that I became in so much pain from just the pressure that my shoe was putting on this pressure point. And just imagine seeing you still have 4 hours to go. Couldn't communicate it with the flight attendants, because I was like, I don't want to trigger a medical procedure, stuff like that. So I was just sitting there, putting on my headphones and suffering through it with this foot swelling worse and worse, and just counting the minutes until we will reach Orlando. And again, this is something people will not see. They only see me waiting at the plane for special assistance to pick me up. They don't see the pain I was in during the flight. They only see, hey, she has a special line for immigration. She is out way faster than us. It's just not fair. She boards the plane before us. It's not fair because you can see she can clearly walk. And I'm like, yeah, I can clearly walk. But you don't see the price I am paying for clearly walking to the plane, or clearly walking through immigration, or carrying all of my belongings and stuff. But before the last trip to Orlando, I would rather suffer and crawl with my suitcases through the airport than ask for help. This was the old me, and I think this last trip to Universal was so important for my personal growth, to learn to accept this help that is in place, to accept special assistance and the AAP. And that is okay to ask the cast member if I can use the lift. Because, again, I think I am really stubborn and quite self-confident. When I'm not completely exhausted, I will call people out for stupid opinions that they communicate in my direction. But I know a lot of you guys are not. And I know some people need to reach this point. I needed to reach this complete maximum breaking point to realize that I need to change something. And maybe you are not on this point yet. And this is why I want to tell on my channel, hey, it's okay to reach out for this kind of help and support before you are reaching the breaking point. You don't need to go through this breaking point I was going through. I went through it to share my experience so you can avoiding making my mistakes. This is why I'm telling you, stay on property or really close by so you can make a midday break. I mean, it really depends. When you're only there for 2 or 3 days, maybe I would still be there, the kind of girl who say just push through it. But I am there for 2 weeks straight. I will force myself to have this hotel break every day. Maybe there will be a few days where I don't do a hotel break, maybe for the VIP tour. I can't just say to the guide, hey, it's time for my nappy time. I am going, please wait with the VIP group. I will return in 2 hours. No, I will go through the 7 hours VIP tour. And the same is for the IAAPA, because the convention center, it's not that far away, but it's not around the corner. So I think my IAAPA day, it's just like I will go to IAAPA. Same with Kennedy Space Center. There I really hope, we are thinking about just renting a car with the 6th car rental in Surfside and take a car to Kennedy Space Center, because the last time I did the group trip, I booked transportation and my tickets. And again, I am a tour guide myself, but this tour guide was a tour guide that made me realize why they told us to shut the fuck up, to let the guests rest, because she was screaming and yelling and telling stupid jokes for 2 hours straight without shutting up. I mean, it was nice for me to see how it's not done, the work of a tour guide. I really learned something from her mistakes. I will never annoy my group that bad when I am a tour guide, because now I had the experience and I'm like, no, this is not fun for the group. So I was talking to Jack and I was like, I don't want to have this transfer again. And I don't know if I've talked about it on this channel, but stuff happened at the Kennedy Space Center. Nothing serious, but stuff that are annoying when you're having a disability. For an example, I don't know if you know it, if you go to Kennedy Space Center, it's an autistic certified center for people with autism. So I was going to guest services and I was like, hey, do you have any things you are supporting people with hidden disability? I didn't do my research. I went just through there and I was like, I have problems standing in line. And this can be a problem for the bus tour or for the waiting stuff for Atlantis and stuff like that. I just need a place to sit down during the shows or someone who's helping me with the bus. So at Kennedy Space Center, you will get an accessibility card, basically. And on this disability card, they will note which kind of support you know. On my card, for an example, was just standing, need to skip the line of the buses, and need to sit down in the attractions. In theory, a great working system. The problem was the employees at Kennedy Space Center were not trained for it. So I showed up at the bus stops, and the cast member at the bus stop at the tour thing at Kennedy Space Center had never seen this accessibility card in his life. So it was not his fault. But how he was handling it, it was like, we are not giving anyone any advantages, ma'am. You need to wait in line or you are not able to do this tour. And I was like, this is why I've got this accessibility card, because I am physically not able to stand here for 2 hours. Maybe if you just provide a wheelchair, we could talk about it, but then I need someone who is able to push me the whole time, because it is what it is. And yeah, I really needed to argue with him about it, and it was really exhausting. And then you had the buses with the stairs. Again, nothing Kennedy Space Center could do, but I've learned they have a lift. And if you ask for the lift, they should provide it. They didn't. Then at the Moon Saturn V, again, I wanted to sit during the pre-show. We can't do that. And I'm like, I need to. Next argument. And again, I had the accessible card. Then at the area from the launch mission control. The front row is for people like me that can't climb stairs, for wheelchairs and people that just need this area in general. She was going at me for sitting at a disabled seating space. And I was like, this is my card, this is my problem, I need to sit here. I have the rights to sit here. She started arguing, and it was adding up all the time. I had to argue with the cast members and employees at Kennedy Space Center. I was so exhausting at one point that, I mean, it was just the tip, the one thing that just throw you over the edge. Nothing minor. Looking back at it, it is just so stupid that this was my breaking point. I wanted to go to Starbucks, have something to drink, and order some food. I mean, I know it's not my native language. I may make language mistakes. I'm not the perfect English-speaking person. I know I'm making mistakes. But with confidence, I am saying I can order my food and my drinks. And never ever before this incident I had a problem ordering my food in English. But this girl, the problem was she was not able to speak English in a good way. She has not even reached my English level, so she, because of my accent, was not understanding what I wanted to order. I showed it, I pointed everything out, I gave her the numbers of the menu, and she was not able to help me with my order. And at the end, she didn't serve me at all. And that was just my breaking point. Because again, I was so exhausted from communicating my needs and get rejected all the time from the cast members at Kennedy Space Center. And then that was just my breaking point. And it was midday, our tour was leaving for 2 hours, and I was going to guest services, and I was like, I need to go out of here. Here's my accessibility card, please let me out of the park. I just don't want to. So again, they were like, this should not have happened. Please call me which cast member you talk to. I will make sure we will train our entire team. Never ever has someone spoken up. We know that those issues are there, but no one was coming here and giving us the feedback. So after this incident, I wrote a couple of times and a couple of emails forth and back with the Kennedy Space Center, and they were like, hey, we made sure now everyone is knowing how the system is work employee-wise, and we really want you to come back to Kennedy Space Center and see our improvement. Please let us know the date and who is joining you. So I was like, okay, I'm still obsessed with NASA, and I think Kennedy Space Center is a great place. So I was like, okay, I will give you guys a chance, and I will get back to Kennedy Space Center in November. But again, I don't want to do a tour. I want to have a rental car and go there with Jake, because I know Jake will give me all the breaks I need. And I'm really interested in seeing if and how much the system really had improved at Kennedy Space Center. This is really something I'm looking forward to, because I believe that they talked about this incident. So I will keep you guys updated, because Kennedy Space Center on the one hand is doing a great job regarding all the autistic stuff, because in front of every room you will have the signs on which senses are getting overused in those kind of areas. So I think this is great, and again, in theory everything is quite accessible. And if this system is activated and in place and everyone knows how it's works, I think everything is fine. So I'm excited to go back to Kennedy Space Center, but I think going there with our own car will put a lot less pressure on me, because the story is not ending there. I needed to wait outside in the Florida heat for 2 hours until our bus is leaving again. On the way to the Space Center, I was quite lucky. We were the last stop, so we went directly from Wheel of Icon to Kennedy Space Center. But this bus had picked up everyone from Kissimmee to our area, and we were the last stop on the list on the return journey. So I'm not kidding you, it took us 3 hours. We stopped at Kissimmee, at Celebration, at nearly every Disney hotel. And imagine having this kind of experience and I have nothing to eat until that point, because again, the Starbucks employee wasn't able to fulfill my order. And I was just like, I don't know how I am able to walk back to Surfside. So I ordered an Uber from Wheel of Icon back to Surfside. And I was just like, I had a ticket for Walk the Universe in the evening, and I was like, I'm not going. First of all, I've read about what was going on at Walk the Universe the day before at the concerts, that people were pushing down barriers and stuff like that and just behaving like crazy nuts people. The only reason I wanted to go there anywhere, because I wanted to see Phil Wigman. I enjoy his music. But again, we are talking about a Christian music festival. And if you don't believe me or just want to get entertained, just enter the Facebook groups from Walk the Universe and see what is going on in these groups. And then you can imagine what is going on in the theme parks. So I was like, I'm not going to Walk the Universe. I will have a nice evening out in my hotel room and just order some food, press the pizza button, and let the little robot bring me my pizza. So this was my day, and I really hope that my next trip to Kennedy Space Center will be more enjoyable. And again, Universal, I think, is still figuring out their AAP system. I will not say that everything is perfect. And because so much stuff was going on during my last trip, they gave me a 2-week ticket split up in 4-day and 2-day tickets for all 4 parks. But I feel I don't want to use them. I don't know, because I still feel like I don't deserve them. So I have a 2 weeks ticket all parks in November, and from that point on I will have my annual pass. So the only thing I may be using is, because I only have studios and islands, I don't have Volcano Bay. When I'm going in March and the next time after March, maybe use a couple of days of those tickets that Universal provided me with for Epic and Volcano Bay. But I'm really hoping that by next year, maybe Epic is included in the annual pass, because I've talked a lot about it. You can only set your AAP up when you have an activated ticket in your account. And I, in theory, need to activate the AAP every time I'm going, because I didn't have an annual pass. And this is something that would just annoy the heck of me. And I was just seeing the prices. I mean, the 2-week ticket is $500 or $600. Doing it twice, I am at $1,200. So it's definitely cheaper for me just to go for the annual pass when I'm going more than one time a year. And then I can set up the AAP with my annual pass and don't need to think about again. The only thing I need to do is updating the IBC CES every year. I know it's somewhere in January, so I will do it in the end of December. I will upload my next doctor's note. So for me, it's definitely way easier than just applying every time for the AAP. I didn't understand. I think I need to, but I don't know if I really need to, if you understand what I'm saying, if I need to do the interview every time. I know now with the annual pass, I don't have to. They told me the only thing that is counting for them now is that my IBC CES is active, and it's active because I need to upload it every year. And I think this is another thing people don't know and realize about the AAP. You could get an AAP just for a short period of time. So my disability is nothing that will get better, so my AAP is permanent. It's permanent on the record at Universal, but what people not thinking about is if you are injured, maybe you've broke your foot or injured your knee or stuff like that, this is still a legit reason to apply for the AAP, because for 6 or 8 weeks, you will have the same needs like someone like me has. So don't feel ashamed. I mean, I think the process is a little bit different and you really need to explain why you need it only for this short period of time. But again, with a doctor's note, I don't know if this AAP would be activated for 1 year, but I think it's something we need to talk about. If you are only injured for a certain amount of time, you're still able to apply for those kind of accessibility items. And this is something that is going on at Disney as well. And Disney, I heard stories where I was just, I am an evil person. I am just laughing at Disney. I read people and opinions and feedbacks from the DAS that they get declined because Disney was saying them, yeah, if you have recovering from chemo, from cancer, it's not a reason anymore to apply for the DAS. Because at one point, I mean, I know, I am evil. At one point, you are either dead or you are recovered. I mean, okay, if you as a company want to put out statement like this, I guess it's up to you. I find it pretty cruel. And the statement, I was never recovering from at Disney, it's an official press statement. This is something that is bugging me. It was just like the mail they sent to me that was saying piss off to Universal, basically. If it would be like that, it wouldn't be that bad and serious. But regarding the AAP, the DAS, the Disney system of the Disney version of the AAP, there was an official Disney press statement that was saying, if you can't stand in line for a longer period of time, you just should practicing waiting in line at home. Just let it sink in. I mean, this only can come from someone who has no friend that needs something or needs accessibility or is injured or stuff like that. I mean, how would my damaged foot have any advantages of me staying in line at home. It will not make my situation better. I cannot train my broken foot to not have pain. I don't know if Disney is realizing how disability is working. And the same is going for autistic needs or ADHD and stuff like that. How would a severe autistic kid benefit from waiting in line at home? You don't have all of the senses and stuff that is going on like in a normal waiting line. How are they thinking we are training for it? Do they think that Amber, for an example, is putting them into a stroller and just practicing with them to sit still for 2 hours? And even if she does, this is not at all a real life scenario. You can't practice waiting in line. I mean, I think for me it's a clearly sign how desperate Disney is with the DAS putting out that kind of press statement. But if they would have said something like this to me in person, I would definitely have gotten to them. It was for the last time I applied for the DAS. They really, really wanted to convince me that I don't need the pass. The cast member was so rude and every time coming with some arguments, but you don't. And I was like, but I do. It was so disgusting, this DAS interview. I mean, I know, I got it, you have a lot of people that are cheating the system, but you can't treat your guest like that. I am still a paying customer. You can't treat me like that. It's yeah, again, and I am pretty confident. I am just like, screw it. Just imagine someone who's not confident. And Disney is going at them, yeah, you don't need it, you're not disabled enough, and stuff like that. They told me stuff like that into my face. But you can stand here in guest services, so you can stand in line. And I was like, do I need to teach you about hidden disabilities, or is Disney providing you some kind of training? I am gladly willing to train you here about how a disability is working, but I don't know. It's ridiculous. I mean, the same thing they tried with me at Disneyland Paris. The cast members are trained in the first time when you are applying for the DAS. The first approach of Disney side is to try to push you out and convince you that you are not needing it. And again, if Disney would have done it a couple of years ago, where I was not accepting my disability like I am doing now, I would definitely just walk away. I don't know if I would come back to Disney after such a conversation, because you are destroying trust. I think this is something they are not realizing. And I had under my Disney video one comment, I'm treasuring it so much, because one comment was telling me that people like me and everyone in the disabled community is just entitled. We need to see Disney needs. It's a company, they need to make money, and they can't pander to entitled individuals like me. And I'm like, okay, now we get to this point that Disney adults are calling us entitled because we are asking to remove barriers. I mean, it's, yeah, again, as exactly that I was saying, you can't train your kids to wait in line. How is Disney thinking that is working? You know, it's again, I can only see it from my perspective with my foot. It's just bullshit. And I mean, I need to practice waiting in line all the time. I'm still going grocery shopping, and even this kind of waiting can be tough on some days. So I just imagine being somewhere in public and standing somewhere. People are watching you and they are asking, hey, why you are standing here? Yeah, because Disney told me I need to practice waiting in line. And I can talk for my friend who is autistic and ADHD. Yeah, this will completely work out. It will completely work out if I just try and wait in line more often with her. This is completely removing her disability at one point because she's just not trying hard enough. This is what is bugging me about it. Disney is basically telling us that we are not trying hard enough to adapt. And this is making me furious because they don't understand the basic thing about hidden disability. And this is something that was talking to me at Universal so much because, again, Megan from Surfside has a fused foot as well, so she definitely knows how it is. The girl that is at the food court working at Surfside has severe ADHD. So you see at Disney, at Universal, how many employees they have that have special needs. And it is brilliant to have those girls, those people in your team, because they understand the needs of your guests. This is something Disney is just not understanding. That it is completely helpful and necessary to have people with special needs in your team. The whole team will benefit from it because they will learn, hey, their needs can be the same needs as the needs of our guests. So they can learn how to interact, and those people see the faults in the system. And I saw a lot of Universal cast members in the AAP line. I mean, it's not like they were wearing their name tags. It's like, for an example, a ministry broke down and we had a nice conversation. And it was so crazy because the father, the husband, he was a cast member at Volcano Bay. She was working at Mummy's. And he was such a roller coaster nerd. And he was like, hey, where you from? I'm from Germany. And he was like, hey, yeah, cool. Do you know Hansa Park? And I was like, yeah, it's my home park. I'm living 20 miles away from it. And he was so obsessed because I didn't realize at that point how big of a deal Kernan was. I know it's a nice coaster, but I didn't realize that this coaster has such an impact. And he was like, I need to go. And I was like, yeah, here's my business card. Let me know. I will help you out when you're in Germany. It's crazy. Yeah, it's exactly that from Disney. And I experience it myself, as I have with the Kennedy Space Center example. It's exhausting to explain yourself over and over and over again. And at one point, someone will push you too far, and then you are exploding. And then it's like you are overreacting. Yeah, maybe I am overreacting at that specific moment, at this specific time. But you have not seen what I have gone through the whole day and how many times I swallow everything down and how exhausting my day was. They only see when they are putting me over the edge. They don't see what happens before. And I think Universal is understanding it better. So they are avoiding pushing people too hard. But at Disney, imagine going there and applying for the DAS and need to go to guest services, and this is your first interaction of the day with Disney. Getting told in your face, yeah, you don't need the pass, and convince you that you are not disabled enough. Yeah, then you will be in a bad mood for the rest of the day. I can guarantee you that, and even maybe for the rest of your trip. So they are setting the tone with this first interaction for your vacation. And I think this is the old Disney I was working for was definitely paying attention to stuff like that. I mean, I needed to go to Disney University for 1 week and learn everything about customer service and the Disney way before I was even allowed to be on stage and in front of a customer. But nowadays, I know it for the college program for fact, it's not in place anymore. The college program guys are not even going to Disney University at all anymore. So this just shows you how this mindset switched at the company. When they are not willing to pay the employees for 1 week to teach them the right lessons, you see something is going off the rails. And I don't know how Universal is training their cast members. I never talked about that with the cast members. I only know about the point-based system, and I think this is pretty good. I wish more guests would know about it and would appreciate the cast members and make sure they would get the points and attention from the manager and the leader. But I think it's a good system in place. So every time you are telling the manager that your cast member did provide a good job, they get points, and at a certain point level they will get their promotion or an extra pay, or they get benefits. I think it's cool, it's basic, and you most of the time, if you don't have an annual pass after your visit, you will get a questionnaire from Universal, and just make sure to have pictures of all the name tags and mention them so they can get the attention they deserve. It's cool. Yeah, I mean, the Disney smile was serious. It was serious. I can, I mean, even back in 2015, you are not allowed not to smile on stage. This was taken so serious from Disney. And I mean, some of those rules were a little bit strict, but I think instead of loosen them up and still be in a presentable way, they just give completely up. For example, back in my days, you needed to have long hairs as a girl. You were not allowed to have a tattoo at all that is visible. You needed to cover it up, or you were not allowed to work for Disney. If you can't cover it up, you wouldn't be allowed to work for them. You only were allowed to have normal hair color, no colors at all. And the last time I was at Disney, a girl with completely short green hair stand in front of me, and she had a lot of tattoos. And yeah, and again, another thing is because of everyone deserves to be how they feel, Disney is allowing matching the costume items. For an example, I could go with a dirndl for my top and the lederhosen, the pants, as my bottom item. So I can match both gender items as a costume nowadays. And it just looks ridiculous. It's crazy. It's just crazy. And I mean, I think hair-wise they can loosen up. I mean, green hairs is something I still wouldn't tolerate at Disney. Sorry, but I maybe a little bit too conservative. But at Universal, on the other hand, I have not that big of a deal with those kind of hair colors because Universal is always more rock and roll. But at Disney, I think a little bit more classic is nice to have. And the tattoo things is like, I have tattoos myself, but just cover them up at work, you know? I mean, you don't need to have tattoos on your throat, for an example, when you are working in customer service. I think it's the same with flight attendants. Just cover them up. Back in my days, it was like, if Disney is not seeing them, Disney is not caring. And even with short hairs, they gave you just the option just to wear a wig. So they were, back in the days, still providing solutions if you wanted to be who you feel to be. But they were like, you can be whoever you want, but not on stage. And I think this is how it should be. I mean, you are not working just to impress yourself and be the unicorn. I am a unicorn. I am crazy, but as soon as I am on stage and working, I am playing through the rules. And again, at Universal, to be honest, I don't know the tattoo rules at Universal. Don't know it before. I don't know how it is now. If I'm thinking about it, I just couldn't tell you if cast members at Universal have visible tattoos or not. But at Disney, I don't know. I don't know why. It's just. But this is showing you that this is a management issue. That the management is just not taking care of it. And it's so funny when you're talking to really old Disney cast members. Everyone was thinking Bob Chapek was the worst thing that could happen to the parks. And as it turned out, he wasn't. The new park, I can't even remember the name of the new guy. They just don't give a shit. It's only a money printing machine. You see it how they are tweeting their classic attraction like Splash Mountain. I don't know. At Universal, even if they demolished an attraction, they are not proud of it and they are not celebrating it. Because they know maybe it's not their favorite attraction, but the attraction still has fans. And they give fans the room to mourn. And there will always be somewhere, some point in the park where you find a memorial to the old attractions. I mean, best example is Jaws. You still have the shark hanging there. I mean, it's cool. You have the Hello Kitty press pennies. You have still things that is remembering Jaws. You still have the DeLorean and the train from the attraction from Back to the Future. They are still there. I can't remember, I haven't seen something that is left from Rock and Roller Coaster, but I bet if you are looking enough, you will find something that is still there from Rock and Roller Coaster. And this is something I think it's so much nicer, because you will have fans that are mourning the attraction, because Universal is understanding something. It's not about the roller coaster. It's about the emotion you are attaching to the coaster. The memories you made. Maybe you were on your first date the first time you rode Rapid Ride Rocket. Then this coaster has a special attachment to you. I liked it, I was never that attached, but I can understand when people are getting attached to a coaster, because they made core memories on that coaster. So just tearing it down and not remembering it, it's just wrong. And Universal is preserving their attractions. And this is what I love about Universal. I mean, I don't know if you know the story about E.T. Universal is never allowed to turn down E.T. Even if they want to make room for something new or stuff like that, there is a contract going on with Steven Spielberg that is telling Universal, if you are tearing down E.T., you will lose the right to Jurassic Park. And Universal is not messing with this, because they know that Steven Spielberg is taking it seriously. And I think it's great. And that Universal is even providing this kind level of fan service. I never saw at Disney, for an example, that they sold smelling candles, scented candles that smell like certain attractions, like E.T. I mean, it's so cool. Every Universal fan and girl and boy knows how E.T. smells. And to have a scented candle with exactly that smell, that is just cool. That is just so nice to have. And so the candle can bring you home a little piece of Universal. And Disney, I can't tell you a single attraction that is memorized or remembered at Disney in this kind of way. When they're tearing something down, it's done and never be talked about it again. I mean, on the other hand, Disney is not tearing down that much attractions. Dinosaurs now is gone. Splash Mountain was the big one, but they are not tearing that much attractions down. But they, correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't have those memorable spaces as Universal is doing. to their attractions. And again, I appreciate it. And I know that they took the decision really hard to tear down Jaws back in the days. But they just needed the space for Harry Potter. There was just no other way putting Diagon Alley somewhere without tearing down Jaws. And Universal knows that they upset a lot of people with removing this quite small little shark. That a lot of people were emotionally attached to this shark. And I think it's just a great solution to have the shark hanging there. And again, Jaws is still running in Japan. If you really want to go, you can go to Japan and ride the attraction there again. I think this is how stuff like that should be handled. Because I think of you little two autistic girls, when they get emotionally attached to an attraction, I bet it will get really, really hard to explain to them when they are tearing down the attraction and after a couple of years. Because it can become a comfort attraction, a thing you will do every time you are visiting Universal. And like we talked in the last video, sometimes it's just stupid that they don't figure out ways before opening it up. Like the fountains, the seating area in front of the fountains. Why didn't they make a single accessible way down the circle? It's just stupid because now you are excluding everyone with a wheelchair. And I don't think that this was the intention of Universal. There is again the same problem of not thinking about accessibility before it's too late. And I am really interested in IAAPA in how the engineers will approach this topic and how the conversations are going. If inclusion and accessibility is already so present that they think about stuff like that before building an attraction, because when you building an attraction with accessibility in mind, it can first of all save you a lot of money, because when you see it's not working for a certain group of people, most of the time they will try to figure out a way to make it work afterwards. And when the attraction is already built, this afterwards can be really expensive. And it would be nice to see if the engineers already are thinking about accessibility, or if this is still a topic they are not thinking about at all. And even if this is the case, I think I wouldn't be angry, because it's like, yeah, because no one has talked about this topic, and this is the reason why I'm talking about this so much on the channel. And I am always telling you guys, when you see something that can get improved and you will benefit from it, I can guarantee you a lot of other people will also benefit from it. So please make notes and talk about it. Yeah, this is what I mean. And I think when your daughter, maybe, I don't know, Zeus is maybe a little bit too overstimulating, but maybe she is enjoying the dinosaur ride, the flying dinosaur ride, then this could become her comfort attraction. And if this attraction is going someday, this will be hard. But I think Universal will care about it. And at Disney, at least over the last couple of years, it's just tearing it down, having fun with it, even when you know it's a beloved attraction by a lot of fans. And you will hurt people with this kind of behavior. And again, I just can imagine how hard it is for you to organize a nice day with your daughter, and how hard it is to go with her to the hotel room and make her comfortable with everything. So this is the reason why I am definitely telling you all the time, please call guest services, make sure you have the email address from Zafira Falls, and tell them that you need an accessible room, that you need a room near the in the same floor as laundry facilities, and that your room is near the lift and near the exit. So you have everything available that you need, because this can just, you know, for a normal guest, all of those kind of things just don't matter. They don't care, they just want a hotel room. And I can guarantee you 90% of the guests are not even thinking about stuff like that. But when you're not communicating the need, they will give the rooms to someone who is not caring about stuff like that. And this is also a kind of accessibility, to communicate it and get the room that you need. I again felt so bad and sorry to ask for the accessible room the first time, but it made such a huge difference in my vacation. And if the Fira Falls is working out for you, I would definitely remember the room and ask for the room the next time and the next time, so you have, when you're coming back, a place that your daughter is familiar with. And I really hope I hope you did so, that you still have rooms connected to each other, so that you don't get split up. I don't know how many rooms you've booked, but it would be just such a shame when one room is in one tower and one on the other side of the resort. But I think it's still nearly 2 months, 2.5 months, nearly 3 months until you will go, so you should still have plenty of times to get the exact room, best room for you guys. So that is working out. Because accessibility also means this room is not something that would just be an add-on or something that would nice to have for you. This is something that can make your vacation so much easier and maybe even possible. Because just imagine getting one room as far away as possible from the lift. Maybe the laundry facilities are on the other side of the resort. This would just be a nightmare for you to have. And I saw it at Surfside. I mean, this was something I didn't care much about. But my accessible room was in the middle of the tower. Not somewhere near the lift. No somewhere near the lift. No somewhere near the laundry facilities. For me, this wasn't a problem, a big deal. But for you, this can be a deal, because you need to go this long walk every time with your exhausted daughter from the lift to your room. And I can imagine, especially after a long theme park day, that every meter is important, that you just need to calm down at one point and just want to lay down in bed. And every minute that's taking longer can push your daughter over the limit, and you can get crushed at one point. And yeah, this is something normal and healthy people, again, are not talking and thinking about. They are not thinking about that we need to think about things like energy management. That my disability per se is not making me exhausted. It's not infecting my energy level. But asking all the time for help and asking for the accessible entrance for the lift in the theme park, those kind of things are exhausting for me. And this is something people don't see. They don't see how difficult it is. And I mean, I never had a reaction in that kind of circumstances at Universal. They never said no to a request, but imagine cast member like they are at Disney saying, no, you don't deserve the DAS. And you have planned for the accessible pass because of your energy management. And I can't remember the girl the last time in the chat. I wouldn't wait until the last minute to set your AAP up. I don't know why Universal is doing it that way. Wouldn't it be easier just if everything is there to work on the request, when they see, hey, there is an active ticket, they have the IBCCS in place, why do we need to wait until 48 hours before you're arriving at the parks for the interview? I mean, again, with a disability that can maybe change and your injury maybe heals up until then. But with a permanent disability, why don't do the interview right away? Yeah, definitely accessible room, especially because the rooms are bigger. This is another real benefit, and I think maybe I shouldn't talk too loud about it because they will be stupid people that will only request the accessible rooms just to have more space. And again, I think this kind of behavior is disgusting. Because for me, it's not about the space. For me, it's about the shower situation. I know they don't have a bathtub in those rooms and they have anti-slippery surfaces. So I can take my shower without being scared of slipping. The whole bathroom is with anti-slippery surface, so I feel completely safe walking in this bathroom. And this makes such a huge difference, at least for me. And I can, and especially when your boy is not good with walking and stuff like that, he is definitely benefiting from such a shower. Such a shower is definitely a really, really big improvement for him, because just imagine a normal shower with a slippery surface. Yeah, your day will just start more stressful. This is something normal people will not understand because they are thinking about it. But for us, this is just stressful because we need to pay so much more attention so we're not slipping and are not hurting ourselves. This is something someone who's completely healthy never will understand. And the extra space in these rooms are not there for your convenience. This extra space is so if you are there with a wheelchair, you can just go around with a wheelchair, because normally the rooms are so tight that there is not enough space to go there with the wheelchairs. And yeah, again, this is something people not realizing it, and people are just getting those rooms just for their advantages. And I saw it in a lot of bookings and stuff like that, that people were going for the accessible rooms just to have a few inches more space. And I'm like, and I am the stupid girl that is telling Universal every time, yeah, I really need the room, but when someone needs it even more, I would be fine with just a shower. And I would be mad if Universal is taking it serious, and imagine someone is requesting an accessible room just because they want a bigger room, and they take the room away from me because, again, they are faking the disability. It would just be a nightmare. Yeah, again, how should a tub is working out for you? It's just not working out. I know that they also have a lot of rooms with just showers, but those showers at the Helios, I was like, it's okay if it's just a shower because it was just one night. But at Surfside, I will face again the topic of a slippery surface. And even with a shower, you need to go inside of it. And you don't have any kind of barrier in those accessible rooms. And this is something, again, I am benefiting of. And I think, I can't remember that much detail, but I'm pretty sure that they have even a chair in the bathtub, so that you can sit down during taking a shower. I'm pretty sure. And they all, over the place, there are handrails. Something, I don't need them, but I feel just so much more comfortable when they are there. And this is, again, something people are not thinking about. And it's just so annoying. They just see, hey, the room is bigger and maybe Universal will give me advantages because they feel sorry for me when they see I have a disability, and this is just not how it's working. And this is something where you always can see if someone is having a real disability or just faking it because he wants advantages. Because for someone who is having a real disability, it's never about the advantages. It's always about, I just want to participate and have the normal chances of a normal human being. I just want to get the barriers removed, that they are there because of my disability. And people that are faking the disabilities, like they're doing for the DAS at Disney, they are only there for the benefits. They don't think about removing the barriers. And what they are definitely not thinking about is that they are taking away spaces for people that are needing them. And this is what is making me so mad with the DAS, that the people are faking it without realizing that they are making it more complicated for the person or for people that really need it. And who is the first group that will suffer? It's us with a hidden disability. Because you can't watch at us, you can't look at us and see what our needs are. So people are not believing when you are communicating your needs. I heard it so many times, yeah, but you're looking, it's impressive how normal you walk. Yeah, maybe. Tell it my physical therapist and he will laugh at you. He will tell you, no, I am destroying every joint in my body the way I am walking. But nice that you think I am fine. And the best people are the people that are giving you medical advices about your disability. And I'm like, don't you think that I know my body best? And then people are coming with, yeah, but I know someone who has a disability, so I am an expert about those kind of disabilities. And I'm like, I know several people that are blind. All of them have complete different needs. Some of them can still see, but they need maybe a screen where they scan and scroll in really, really big. The next one can see when it's dark or if it's light out there. And the next one can't even see when the sun is shining. So you can't say a blind person is capable of doing this and that, because it's a spectrum. The same with autism. My friend is completely looking normal in society. She is bright, she is smart, but autism is such a huge spectrum. I mean, I think TV shows like Big Bang Theory really were a big impact for the community. Because people saw, hey, Sheldon Cooper is still a likable guy. He has his quirks, but he is still functioning, he is working, he has a job. And I think Big Bang Theory was the first time where people were realizing that autism is not autism. Because I think, especially with autism, the spectrum is so big. I mean, you have from a friend of mine who is barely impacted by it. My physical therapist, by the way, is also autistic and ADHD. He is also completely normal function. He's taking medication, but otherwise he's fine. And then you have nonverbals. And this is such a huge spectrum, so you can never ever say, yeah, because it's he or she is autistic, this is the way she's functioning or he is functioning, and those are the needs. This is not working out for autism. And explaining it this way, and it's the same of, I didn't realize it, only recently I realized what is going on in this way. I know 3 or 4 people with a fused foot. And this can also vary so much from which part is actually fused and impacted. For me, it's the complete Lisfranc, 5 joints of the Lisfranc joint, then the joints behind it are affected with arthritis, so it's a large part of the foot, and it's a part of the foot that needs to move during every step so you can roll your foot. My physical therapist, again, he is just, he deserves respect. Again, autistic, ADHD, and he also has a fused foot, but only in a small joint that is working together with his ankle. So you don't see any kind of disability at all, and the impact it has to, for him is nearly not there, and he is not likely to suffer from arthritis because of the positioning. So both of us has a fused foot, but you can see a complete different outcome. The diagnosis is nearly the same, but the way it's impacting our day-to-day life is completely different. And this is what normal people, healthy people are not realizing. That you can't just judge someone because of what you're seeing and because of their diagnosis. And I can understand why it is so difficult for Universal to understand the needs of the AAP. And I think this is why it is so smart for them to work together with IBCCES, because they read the doctor's note and they have experts that are specialized in kind of that. And they can at least read the notes and make a decision based on them, and make a decision if this people really need support in the theme parks and what supports would be necessary. So Universal's, yes, of course, they will have the last decision, but I think when IBCCS is putting your application on green and making certain notes, you will not argue with the Universal cast member, because they know their boundaries. They know that they can't judge about someone's capability and someone's ability to walk in line. I mean, in my case, they always try with the question, yeah, why won't you benefit from a wheelchair? Yeah, because I want to be independent. I am not traveling with someone else who could push me through with the wheelchair all the time. And most important, I don't have reached the stage yet that I am comfortable in using a wheelchair. I want to be as independent as long as possible. So a mental fact is still playing into it for my case. And Universal, luckily, is counting this mental state into their decision. They are like, we understand it, that you are facing this struggle, so we are not pushing you into the wheelchair. And Disney, for an example, would not give me the DAS because they are like, with a wheelchair, your problem is gone. So you see, completely different approach of the system, because Universal is thinking in a wider approach. And again, who should push me in a wheelchair? And I am so bad with names. The girl from the last time, I didn't know it, I didn't realize it, but she told us that an IV seat, for an example, is not able to be in the normal lines. This is another thing. Then why didn't they design the lines wide enough so an IVC could be in there as well? It's, yeah. And I was shocked that she was using the EVC, has not heard of the AAP before my videos, and has not applied for the AAP. This was really shocking to me, because I am like, you would benefit from it massively. And this is the same discussion like yesterday. Why is Universal not communicating the AAP? I mean, again, I understand it from a business standpoint out of view, because they are hoping, and this is nothing against Universal, it's just a big company after all, they are hoping that people don't know about the system, so they are like, okay, before I'm struggling, I am buying the Express Pass. I think this is their approach, and you can't be mad for this approach, because again, they need to make the money by the end of the day, and they still have the system in place. So I am definitely more than willing to share this information with you guys and make the AAP accessible for as much people as possible. Because girl, I don't remember the name, I am more than certain that she would definitely benefit a lot from the AAP and have a much better park experience. And this is the point when Universal again is trying to understand that the AAP is actually making them money or can make them money. Because just compare the situations. I wouldn't have known from the AAP, I am frustrated. Maybe I go back one day and purchase the Express Pass. Maybe it's working out then and everything is nice, but I still would need, for an example, lift support. That is not the Express Pass providing me, because I'm not good in climbing stairs. So at one point I would be, nah, okay, it was nice day at Universal, but I will not spend my next vacation there. Because yeah, it was working, but it was not working for every special need I have. But with the AAP, I mean, Universal is making so much more money out of me. I booked a VIP tour. I am always staying on property. So Universal is getting I have an annual pass. So Universal is already getting so much money. The AAP is costing them nothing. But because they are kind and they are providing this system to me, I am a happy kitty, I am a happy guest, and I am happy to spend my money. I am, because of the AAP, able to be longer in the parks, which means I will purchase my food and my drinks in the parks. So this is another way Universal is making my money. Without the AAP, I would maybe need 2 or 3 hotel breaks. And because I am at Surfside, I would just say, nah, I'm just going to Walgreens and pay for my groceries at Walgreens. Or go somewhere at International Drive. So because of the AAP, I spend more time in the parks, and more time in the parks equals making more money for Universal. And this is such an easy calculation when you think about it. So I am not sure if it's completely true and necessary that if everyone who has the special needs is going for the Express Pass, that Universal will make more money. Again, just think about my case. I would still need the AAP to have the access at the lifts, and that I don't have the need to use the stairs. So the Express Pass is definitely not changing my situation at all. I am really curious about how the Express Pass will affect my day when I'm using it with the VIP tour for the rest of the day. But I think, especially when I'm thinking about your family, you have, I guess, a lot of financial struggle, because having kids with special needs is always a special lot of money. Because I know, at least here in Germany, you will get a certain amount of things that are getting paid for you, but a lot of things you need to work for. And just imagine paying then on top of it for 8 people for the Express Pass. It's just, I think, not even possible. And then with kids like you will not be able to be in the parks for all of the 8 hours, from rope drop to firework. So you will not make the full usage of those Express Passes. So again, I think the Express Pass system shouldn't be added into this discussion at all, because we are talking about 2 completely different tools. And an Express Pass would not make the AAP vanished or the needs for the AAP vanish, because with the Express Pass, your kind of problem will not get covered. Because with the Express Pass, you will still stand in line. A ride can break down, and then even in the Express Pass, you can stand there for an hour. I waited at Donkey Kong for over 30 minutes. It's not Universal's fault. It's can happen every time. Something is going wrong, you don't know. But then being in this line with your little daughter, yeah, nothing will be good. The Express Pass will help nothing at all in this situation. You need a special entrance. You need to get out of the line, and this is where the AAP is for in your condition, in your case. And for me, I don't have people that can push me around, and I just can't climb all the stairs, and I don't know if there wouldn't be an AAP how to communicate it. Because I think with the AAP, the cast member have a physical proof that I have a disability, and so they will not argue about lift access. Then, because when this kind of information is getting spread around with healthy people, I can guarantee you they will misuse those lifts all the time. And there was a reason behind why the cast member blocked the lift at Hulk. Because it is, no cast member can have a look at it all the time. So the cast members from security check, they are standing with their back to the lift. The person who is standing at the photo point, when there are coming a lot of people wanted to purchase pictures, he or she is not looking at the lift. So this lift has the possibility to get misused a lot. And this is the reason, I think, why Universal blocked it. And said, okay, you can only activate it with a cast member. And a cast member will only activate it to you when you give them your physical Express Pass with the AAP note on it. And you only get this Express Pass when you are showing your AAP return time to the cast member in front of the Express Pass entrance. Again, I think in the beginning they were like, yeah, use the lift. And then all of them used the lift. And I think, I don't know if they applied it already, but I think at one point they will do something similar to the lift at VelociCoaster. Because I saw, it's quite funny and strange. I had a lot of people that were following me to the lift and tried they can go. They really tried. They know that they weren't supposed to be in there. They tried to use the lift with me because I was using the lift and they were like, yeah, okay, then we can also use the lift. No, this is not how it's working. And I needed to tell them, yeah, I am on the AAP. I have the permission to use the lift. You, without the AAP and without the needs, are not allowed to go with me into this lift. And as soon as they would board the boarding area, the cast member would send them away anyway. But yeah, I saw this technique from normal park guests already happened at VelociCoaster. Or even at, I think it was Gringotts. People are not stupid. They are smart, they are watching, and they try to figure stuff out. And when they see me walking past them by, and they hear the cast member conversation from, hey, can I use the lift? I had it a couple of times that people were just running behind me and trying to sneak into the special areas for the AAPs. And I think it's just disgusting. I mean, if it's just out of curiosity, or if you don't know it better, or you're just not thinking at all at this moment, I mean, okay, stuff like that can happen. But doing it on purpose because you think no one will notice when you sneak behind me just to get the same advantages as I, then we are again back at the conversation that Universal and Disney is fed up with this kind of pass because so many people are misusing it. We are again at the usage of the system. Maybe a solution could be to hand out again physical tickets, or to make it possible to add the AAP to, let's say, to your annual pass. It is on your annual pass, but give it more permission, or to your hotel key, so that your pass can unlock those lifts. This would be, in my opinion, pretty great if they would add this kind of technique. Because at one point, everyone on the AAP knows all the lifts and all the situations that are going on. Just give them the permission to unlock those lifts, especially at Hulk, because Hulk is such a pain in the ass with all the system that is going on when you want to ride it. And lock the same lift at Stardust Racer and Velocicoaster, and only people on the AAP whose ticket is connected with it are able to call the lift. It would, I'm also thinking about the cast members. You would put a lot of pressure away from them, because then they don't need to have look out for people in special needs, people like me, when they are coming for the first time, that are confused like hell. Just explain them where they need to go, that they need to touch the lift with the card, and everything is fine. And the cast member don't need to waste the time to physically go there anymore with them. So I think this would be another great addition and solution to give this kind of power, we'll call it, to the people from the AAP to be able to call stuff like that. And again, this would also be a nice thing we could share and talk about during our special AAP day at Universal. I think this could also be such a great day for the cast members just to get trained and learn. Because I think none of us is expecting, when they are providing stuff like that, that everything is working perfect and everything is figured out. No one of us is expecting it. And I would rather learn with them together to figure out and make the whole process more efficiency. This is something many people are not thinking about, but they are run on efficiency. They are calculating capacity, stuff like that. And when they can figure out ways to board people like us faster without limiting the safety aspect, this would also be great. And those are kind of things that we can figure out during those events. Hey, how can we board as fast as possible despite our disability? Or do you really need to turn down the conveyor belt? Is there another idea or possibility to board safe without slowing the whole attraction down? Or just practicing boarding with the people. This is another thing that could happen. Just practicing boarding under real life conditions. Everyone will have the patience to wait. I think this kind of day would be just great. And again, the cast members would learn so much about actually handling people with disabilities. Stuff that theoretically training can just not teach you. I think this is great, and I really hope, again, I will make sure tomorrow that Special Olympics and Make-A-Wish will know about the petition. I think this can turn out to be great. So again, I am on streaming for 2.5 hours now. My voice really needs a break, and I think at least I want to go live on Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays, and maybe on Saturdays. I will try to go live as often as possible, because I just love to hang out with you guys, because I will have new ideas every time when talking to you guys. So I think we will see each other again on Wednesday. Until then, have a nice evening and goodbye.